Welcome to my podcast, Dying in La La Land. This is Ron Campise, and the story is Batman versus Mercedes. What a huge home, even for Van Nuys. A compound, really. There must be at least 8 bedrooms. I commented to the lead detective from Van Nuys division on arrival at the murder scene. A classic Mercedes was parked in an adjacent front driveway. Being a car enthusiast, I again spoke up upon seeing it. Wow! An SL Mercedes Roadster. That must be worth at least 50 grand. The car was not your usual Van Nuys neighborhood soccer mom's car. It was nearly 2 a.m. In a back bedroom, a way back bedroom, there was a body of a young, blonde, beautiful girl on the bed. She had a wide-eyed look of surprise on her face, not particularly a peaceful look as some murder victims have. There was still a garrote wound tightly around her neck. She was naked from the waist up, with noticeable bruises on her face and torso. What a shame, I thought to myself. I felt slightly sad for her as the investigation began. Her boyfriend had killed her and was now in the wind, fleeing to good old Mexico with the help of his relatives. They were not cooperating in the least and had immediately lawyered up. I really didn't care. I was just glad they were out of the house. About halfway through the investigation at about 4 a.m., yelling could be heard outside the residence. The dead girl's father showed up with an aluminum baseball bat. "Let me see my Jenny," he yelled. "Let me in now," he yelled even louder. Before patrol officers could stop him, he ran under the perimeter crime scene tape up to the Mercedes. He then began smashing up the Mercedes Roadster that belonged to his daughter's killer's boyfriend. The detective motioned to the officers approaching the grieving father to stop and lower their batons. The dad of the dead girl continued to yell and swing his bat into the car relentlessly, smashing the hood, rear sides, and chrome and windshield for about 15 minutes. He was yelling, screaming, and cursing the whole time. I just stood back and watched the show with the detectives and officers. Finally, the grieving dad fell to the ground in a fetal position, exhausted, dropping the aluminum baseball bat, screaming and wailing his daughter's name. "Now get him," the detectives told the patrol officers, ran up, kicked the bat aside, and handcuffed the grieving dad. He was picked up, then led away to sit in a patrol car. Paramedics were called and took him to an emergency room where he was placed on a 5150, a crazy man hold. If someone did that to my daughter, I probably would also have gone insane. The Mercedes SL Roadster, prized, pampered, and driven by the suspect, was now smashed to pieces. The detective had decided to let the girl's dad express his immense grief and anger on poor Mercedes, and after the dad was exhausted, beating the car to pieces, was of little threat to anyone. "Oh, well, just another morning in paradise," was my closing comments to the Van Nuys detective in charge. Within an hour, the LA County coroner showed up, examined and processed Jenny's body in the way back bedroom, and then took her body for a trip downtown to Mission Road. Her killer was never caught and remains at large in Mexico to this day. Thank you for listening to my Dying in La La Land podcast. Hit the follow button. We would love your feedback. And tell your friends.